Every night I drift into my enemy's dream. By day, he is cold and arrogant. In front of me, he frowns and snaps, telling me to stay away. But at night, in his dreams, he holds me tight and kisses me with fervor. You're mine. Please, come a little closer. A dream was a nightmare for sure. In that dream, I was pressed against a hard wall with no way out, my jaw clenched by slender fingers, forced to tilt my head up and accept kisses as wild and intense as a raging storm, trying to swallow me whole. And the man kissing me was half a head taller, so he had to bend down, gently enveloping my entire body. His handsome, delicate face, his uniform originally flawless, now bore folds from my struggles. The people who cared so much about such details were now completely oblivious, their eyes full of passion. Looking at him, all I could think was, damn. Perhaps noticing my wide eyes, he finally stopped kissing, curling his lips into a slight smile and letting out a soft chuckle from his throat. His gaze met mine as he said, boyfriend. What boyfriend? Then he paused, adding, all right, just look at me. Don't look at anyone else. I blinked, confused. Wait, what boyfriend? Aren't we mortal enemies? My name is Kensuhazo. My arch rival is Lin Zenitsi. Our feud began during the first semester of 11th grade when he transferred to our school. He quickly snatched the top spot in class rankings, one that had always belonged to me, and has held it ever since. Lin Xinghosi not only outperforms me academically but also clearly dislikes me in daily life. I realized this once when I accidentally stumbled, instinctively grabbing whoever was next to me to keep my balance. It turned out to be Lin Xinghosi. He looked as if I'd shocked him with an electric jolt and immediately stepped back. I glanced down at his shoulder and touched. He frowned, saying, this shirt can't be saved anymore. His voice was clear and gentle, but that did nothing to quench my anger. I stood silently, clenching my fists. My thank you turned into a careful reminder. If clothes don't want to be worn anymore, they can be thrown into the recycling bin. Lin Xinghosi simply turned and walked away, and later that afternoon, he did indeed change into a new set of clothes. After that incident, I began watching him more closely. Although usually cold and arrogant, I noticed when facing me, he grew even colder and more vicious. His eyes rarely lingered on me, as if looking my way even once was a burden. After discussing with friends, we all concluded that since I'm his main competitor, someone who might surpass him in exams, it was understandable why he hated me. Though his words and actions often disguised compliments, that didn't mean I didn't hate him. Our clashes became so frequent and fierce that even classmates noticed our bitter relationship. Yet what surprised me was that not only did I have to see him in real life, but every night he appeared in my dreams. In these dreams, the scenes replayed what happened during the day. Because I couldn't solve an extra math problem, the teacher had asked Lin Xinghosi to tutor me. No matter how reluctant Lin Xinghosi was to interact with me, he had to obey the teacher. In reality, we sat across from each other at opposite ends of the table. Perhaps it was rare to have such a pleasant conversation, because after finishing the lesson, I politely asked him, how much do I owe you? Lin Xinghosi coldly replied, stay away from me. Then he hurriedly stood up and left, giving me no chance to retort. Backing off gives you room, but holding it in only fuels frustration. In the dream, after Lin Xinghosi finished explaining, I crumpled my notes and threw my pen, thinking up all kinds of rebuttals. But then, unexpectedly, he stood up, circled the table, and to my shock pulled me to stand and pressed me against the wall, presenting me with a reward. I hadn't asked for anything. Why was the dream so different from reality? Immediately after, he bent down and kissed me. Lin Xinghosi's lung capacity seemed enormous. The kisses left me dizzy, nearly breathless. His lips traveled from my chin along my throat, sucking and licking slowly from start to finish. His eyes never left me, as if he could look forever. Only when the alarm clock rang did I escape that dream, sitting there dazed. Dreaming of Lin Xinghosi would be enough, but why was it so out of character? In fandom terms, out of character means actions or words not fitting the established personality. Maybe I hated myself for not resisting then, so I dreamed of Lin Xinghosi like that. Give me a chance to fight back, will you? Think positive. Despite the nightmare, I did hear that math solution again in the dream. That method has deeply imprinted in my mind. Lin Xinghosi is waiting to be toppled by me. Thinking this, I suddenly felt sharp and woke from that dream. putting it aside, getting up to brush my teeth and wash my face. While washing, I caught sight in the mirror of faint red marks on my neck, barely visible unless you looked closely. They didn't itch but hurt a bit. I suspected mosquito bites but didn't rule out something else. There was no way these could have been left by Linz and Elsie in a dream. I laughed at my own thoughts. Noticing the time, I was nearly late for school. No time for overthinking. I quickly washed up, grabbed my bag, and rushed out. Luckily, I arrived just in time. Entering the classroom, a boy from a neighboring class blocked my way, regret etched on his face. "Did I hurt you yesterday? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention." I quickly understood. Nearby the school, there's a colony of stray cats, and students take turns feeding them. But the school forbade stray dogs and cats nearby, so we kept quiet to avoid detection. Yesterday, while feeding the cats, I bumped into this boy. Since we had competed before, we chatted a bit. Unexpectedly, the cat in his arms suddenly snapped at me. Luckily, it only targeted the food in my hands. It scratched me lightly but didn't tear clothes. I was fine and didn't bother with hospital vaccinations. As I was about to wave, "It's okay," a familiar cold voice cut in, "Step aside." We both turned toward the source, Lindsay standing right before us. That nightmare from last night still lingered slightly, making me sense something was off about Lindsay. His expression was strained, shadowed, staring at something. I realized he was looking at my neck. Feeling his gaze, I instinctively wanted to pull up my collar, but before I could, the boy whispered, "Looks like we're blocking her way." See, no wonder Lindsay told her to move and kept staring. I was about to sarcastically ask if he'd ever seen mosquito bites before. Despite our long-standing grudge, feeling weaker morally, I decided to step aside, following the boy to let them pass. Lindsay stood still, unmoving. Maybe it's just my mortal enemy filter, but Lindsay's expression didn't soften at our yielding. In fact, it grew more somber. The boy left without noticing and waved goodbye. I turned and headed to class. Just as I lifted my foot, I heard footsteps behind. Suddenly, two hands grasped my shoulders tightly. I turned to see who it was. Lindsay. Before I could think why he suddenly touched me, I wished I had a phone to snap a picture of his hands on my shoulders. But my phone was at home, so I could only offer him a bitter smile. "Didn't you tell me to stay away? Or does my shoulder have some kind of magnet?" Normally, he'd glance coldly, turn away disgustedly, or snap, "You're imagining things." But this time, Lindsay frowned, his face cold as ice, yet he didn't let go. He opened his mouth as if to say something but was cut off by an ear-piercing bell. "Whenever the bell rings, I'm done with Lindsay." I shrugged his hands off and hurried into class. Once seated, Lindsay came in after me. Busy studies quickly swallowed my morning's events. During math class, there was a surprise quiz. Because the problems matched both Lindsay had explained yesterday, and thanks to last night's stream, I aced the test easily. Both Lindsay and I scored the highest. Right after, my best friend Sandayan came over excitedly to congratulate me. Though just a regular quiz, it was the first time I'd got the same score as Lindsay. I beamed. Sandayan also noticed the red marks on my neck, but before she could ask, Lindsay caught her attention. He sat 2 rows diagonally behind me. At Sundown's prompt, he seemed to glare at me. His displeased expression made me smirk even more. No doubt, scoring as high as Lindsay must make him feel threatened. But his glare was useless. While he daydreamed, I was studious. If only he didn't appear in my dreams. Maybe the deity heard my prayer. That night, I truly didn't see Lindsay anymore. Instead, a familiar face emerged Sundown from the neighboring class in the school hallway. Before I could feel delighted, the boy's apologetic voice echoed, "Sorry." I wasn't paying attention. This phrase sounded so familiar. Wait, this happened during the day? Why does it feel just like last night? My heart pounded. If daytime events repeated, he would appear again. I turned to leave, but horror-struck I couldn't move and could only stand and wait. The footsteps grew closer, my wrist was grabbed, forcing me to face the person restraining me. I felt exhausted. Why him again? Lindsay looked worse than I did. His face shadowed, his gaze sharp as always, but now he reached out. I could feel his cold fingertips tracing my neck. Looking down, I saw him touching the red marks. I clearly remembered these marks had faded when I checked the mirror last night. Why were they red again? Could Lance and Lucy's grasp have caused it? Before I could stop him, his gloomy stare frightened me. More accurately, he was staring at the boy. Because then Lance and Elsie coldly said, voice like a blade piercing bones, she is mine. The marks you left on her, I will erase them all. What? Whoa, what the hell is going on? It seemed Lance and Elsie thought those marks were the boy's doing. As soon as he thought that, he turned and bent down to kiss me. This time, he started at my neck, kissing fervently the sensitive skin there. His teeth and tongue grazed multiple times, not missing even my collarbone, licking and sucking. I held my breath, afraid he might get too rough and bite. After an unknown length of time, the kiss moved to my lips. Feeling his kiss on my lips, relief washed over me, unlike last night's wildness. This kiss was low, teasing. I was forced to tilt my head up to accept it. Before me was Lance and Elsie's magnified handsome face, at my ear the wet sounds of lips and tongue. I suspected he deliberately made the noise. How else could a single kiss be so loud? I was lucky he blocked my view. Even in a dream, I'd rather not be seen in such an intimate moment. How embarrassing. But clearly Lance and Elsie and I had very different thoughts. When my eyes tried again for a third time to peer past his shoulder at the boy, it seemed he noticed. He hugged me tightly and shifted position. He lifted his head to give me a breath, then whispered, afraid he'll see. Then I want you to see clearly who you belong to. What's going on? Is this really the Lance and Elsie I know? No surprise that Lance and Elsie said and did the same. He nearly kissed me all over, not sparing even my fingertips. I was dizzy from the kisses and barely remembered the boy disappearing. The scene changed to a strange bedroom. By my ear, Lance and Elsie asked, between him and me, whose kiss do you like better? I wouldn't have thought Lance and Elsie still cared about that. In the end, I didn't explain my allergy or that the other boy was just a classmate. Lance and Elsie stopped, dismissing their earlier conversations. I never expected him to be jealous about that. There was nothing but feeding cats, he just wasn't paying attention. Lance and Elsie was stunned, then understood. His black eyes twinkled as he suddenly kissed me a few times. His touch hadn't changed, but I felt the joyful atmosphere radiating from him. Who is this guy? He's never smiled like this before. I collapsed on the soft bed, feeling Lance and Elsie's weight pressing me down and his burning kisses. Half dreaming, I heard Lance and Elsie's voice. Hidden passion barely contained, so Hazel, I love you madly. Outside, daylight gleamed, but his restrained voice echoed like a lingering bell. Realizing I had woken from the dream, first thing I did was open my phone. Fortunately, I woke early with plenty of time. I checked Flora's and Zugon's dream interpretations for insight on what it meant to keep dreaming about my enemy kissing me. Then I realized matter determines consciousness. Consciousness is a reaction to matter. It must be because I'm always thinking. If only I could surpass him. That's why Lance and Elsie in dreams behave so wildly. After obediently memorizing some English vocab, my body and soul both felt purified. I silenced the blaring alarm and hurried to brush my teeth and wash up. Looking in the mirror, I was shocked by the dark red marks crisscrossing my body. What's wrong with me? I wondered. When I unbuttoned my shirt, I panicked to see the faint marks I thought had faded last night had flared up fiercely, staining my skin red, even spreading to my collarbone. Could it be an allergy? A fleeting thought. Thinking of the upcoming long holiday, I decided to wait before seeing a doctor. When I arrived at school, I purposely wore long sleeves to cover the marks. Luckily, it wasn't too hot for the weather. Entering class, I saw Lance and Elsie had arrived earlier, focused on something. Surely because yesterday I beat him. He came early to study. I pushed last night's dream out of my mind and hurried to my seat to catch up, not wanting Lance and Elsie to pull further ahead. Passing by his desk, Sundawn waved excitedly, signaling me over. Though in the same row, she sat behind me by a few seats. As I passed Lance and Elsie, I glanced at him and saw he wasn't studying as I thought but sneaking peeks at his phone behind the desk shield. I clearly saw the screen. It wasn't a vocab app but Weibo, that Lance and Elsie, hey you, playing on his phone. I'd never caught him doing that before in class. Seeing him so focused, I felt mischievous and decided to tease him a bit. Remembering his cold attitude towards me, I planned a little retaliation. I cleared my throat, then mimicked the homeroom teacher's telephone, handed over. Lance and Elsie hurriedly hid his phone and looked up, facing me. Strangely, his expression remained cold. But when he recognized me, a tense look flashed in his eyes. "What are you doing?" At that moment, I knew for sure Lin's Nazi was genuinely tense. Fortunately, I quickly thought of a way out, just a kind reminder not to use phones in class. Saying this, I turned to leave but heard his voice behind me. "What did you see?" His voice was sharp, urgent. Such a big reaction. I was clueless. "What?" Lin's Nazi fell silent. I thought he'd completely ignored me, but when I turned, I saw him still staring thoughtfully at me. After meeting my gaze, he finally turned away, his back cold. Well, seeing him no longer staring at the phone, apparently scared by me, I felt a boost of confidence. Near Sunday, and I learned why she'd called me so urgently. Our favorite celebrity couple unexpectedly announced their relationship, jumping straight to the top of hot searches. Though distracted decoding dreams this morning, upon hearing the news, I shoved all of Lens and Lindsay's weirdness out of my head. Thinking I missed this news, I blamed myself and Lens and Itzy in dreams. Too bad neither Sandan nor I had phones, so we had to wait until after class to check the hot news. Finally, the school bell rang. Was home. I opened my phone and scrolled Weibo. From the official account to the super topic, I devoured a flood of dog food from netizens. Speculating wildly, I lay on my bed staring at the Weibo search bar, suddenly recalling Lens and Itzy's daytime oddity. Now I think about it, he must have been asking if I saw his phone screen. A suspicious reaction. Could it be he was secretly spying on idols but afraid we'd catch him? Hehe, I found it amusing. Though unaware of the content, I recognized the account name, just a mess of letters, clearly a secondary Weibo account. I typed its name into the search bar and quickly found that Weibo. Rubbing my hands, I confirmed it was indeed Lens and Itzy's side account, lacking profile pictures or bio, few followers, all apparently bots added by Weibo itself. The account was created years ago, followed no one, and had only a few dozen posts. The newest post was from this morning, showing a somewhat blurry photo of an exam paper. After 2 years secretly studying his test-solving techniques, I knew that handwriting anywhere. Recalling Lens and Itzy's furtive look while checking Weibo, I made one conclusion. This was Lens and Itzy's side account. Smirking, I muttered, so Lens and Itzy checks this mini account. The pin post shared a report of an original question. How long have you been secretly admiring that person? Pin answer: 1 year of secret admiration. My heart jumped at 182 beats per minute. How could this be? My idol had publicly acknowledged the relationship. Even my lifelong rival had confessed his small smoldering flame. Lens and Itzy had a girlfriend? I suddenly felt an urge to dig deeper, but scanning through memories of all my encounters with Lens and Itzy, I found no hint. Honestly, he never seemed like someone capable of liking anyone. Though called secret admiration, it was a truly mysterious love. After much pondering with no clues, I decided to find the exact answer on his Weibo. With no popcorn or snacks around, I poured myself a glass of water to stay calm. Yet my smile disappeared instantly after reading Lens and Itzy's latest Weibo post. He described the dream he'd had last night. The characters, events, everything matched my dream perfectly. The only big difference was the story was from Lens and Itzy's perspective. I'd heard of matching clothes or scenes, but never matching dreams. A bad feeling crept in. I kept scrolling through his Weibo posts. Many recorded dreams, these were from the previous nights and all matched my own dreams. Was I that coincidental? But what crushed my last hope was a photo he posted, a corner of a room. Despite its simplicity, I recognized it the bedroom from last night's dream. Though I've never been to Lens and Itzy's house or known its layout before, recalling my immobilized state in the dream, a theory sparked. I wasn't just dreaming alongside Lens and Itzy, I was invading his dreams. This thought startled me, sending chills and cold sweat. Another question sprang up. I thought Lens and Itzy in dreams was my own imagination. But if this is his dream, why does he react that way? Holding my trembling phone, I frantically searched for more answers on his Weibo. Although his account was old, the first post appeared only after he transferred schools. His posts often mentioned her in both real life and dreams. Upon meeting, her radiant smile and curved eyes, losing first place in his heart, unwilling but forced to congratulate. Jealous when she got close to another boy, countless times possessing and kissing her in dreams. His her seemed to be me. After all, before Lens and Itzy, I was number one. but I'm certain I can surpass him and reclaim my position. No, that's not the point. The one Lincoln Halsey secretly loved was me, so his actions and dreams make sense. I could finally be reassured. Reassured? Ha! If Lincoln Halsey liked someone else, I'd be happy to watch, but to find out it's me, well. I wanted to yell double take. I regretted snooping his Weibo. How do I face him now? And was he really secretly in love, considering how he usually acts toward me? Too many questions, just as I was about to check other Weibo accounts. My vision darkened. With a blink, I was whisked from my bedroom to a strange lounge. I realized I'd entered another dream. Looking around, no familiar faces. This wasn't school, nor Lindsay Hitsy's dream. Had he finally decided he was tired of daytime and dream encounters with me? Just as I sighed in relief, the door opened. Sundan appeared, looking more grown-up, in a pale green long dress, rushing toward me. All right, we should head backstage to prepare, or we'll miss the wedding entrance. I froze. Whose wedding? Sundan laughed. You. How could you forget your own wedding? Oh no. I frantically searched for a full-length mirror. Only then did I realize I was wearing a long white wedding dress, hair up in an elegant bun, face meticulously made up. A true bride's look. Why was I dreaming about getting married? Sundan grabbed my hand, leading me out. Suddenly a few people came in to help carry my heavy train. The wedding venue was extravagantly decorated, surrounded by people. I stepped onto the stage. I saw Lance Nancy standing there in a black suit. Behind him, the screen showed our wedding photos, confirming our identities now. At this point, there was nothing I didn't understand. I'd lost myself in his dream again. Just moments ago, I praised him. Now he didn't keep me trapped in his dream. I thought I could freely dream, but old habits die hard. He frowned slightly, lips pressed tight. Our eyes met, with worry like today's flooding his gaze. The mixed voice echoed, recounting how our love story began. It started when I discovered his secret Weibo with him playing on his phone. He took the chance to confess, and I said yes. That's how we fell in love, and now advanced to marriage. Wonderful. The dream scenes shifted constantly. Wait, Lindsay looked pensive just now. Is he really thinking about this? While quietly brooding, I heard the mic prompt me forward to the broom. My body moved involuntarily toward Lindsay. I was certain this was Lindsay's dream, because he controlled everything as the dream's master. That scared me. Who knew if this dream would diverge from the previous ones? Standing before Lindsay, I quickly said, Lindsay, you're dreaming. Wake up. He wasn't surprised and still followed the mixed script. Took my hand and slipped the ring on my finger. I know, only in dreams would you accept my confession and stay by my side. I thought he understood the dream's secret too, but that wasn't what he meant. Apparently, he still saw me as a character he imagined. I was about to give him a reality check, but he silenced me with a kiss, sealing all my words. Since discovering who Lindsay really was, this kiss felt even more tormenting. Suddenly, the dream ended. Dream time and real time were very different. Only a short while passed in the dream, but when I opened my eyes again, it was the next day. I'd been lying on my bed using my phone when pulled into the dream. My hand still gripped the phone. The screen showed Lindsay's Weibo. After reading his latest post, I understood why the dream ended. He must have woken up. He'd posted about his dream. At first, I planned to message him privately on Weibo to talk honestly, but after reading all his posts, I abandoned that thought. I'd always thought Lindsay hated me, but secretly he did so much for me. Once, a thug liked me and constantly harassed and threatened me. I was ready to ask my parents for help. Unexpectedly, the thug later offered a sincere apology. I was amazed. Only now did I know Lindsay had directly dealt with the thug. That's why he apologized. Once, I fainted at school and bumped into Lindsay passing by. He was the one who carried me to the infirmary. He asked the school doctor to keep it secret. When I was sick, medicine mysteriously appeared at my desk. I thought someone cared for me secretly. It turned out it was Lindsay. I remembered it all. At the time I thought I'd met someone kind, but all was actually his arrangement. The reason he chose to do all this silently was simply knowing I wouldn't love him. My feelings were a mess. If I exposed everything to Lindsay, he'd find out I knew about his secret love. Would he take that chance to confess? I hadn't figured out how to decline. After reflecting for the first time, I chose avoidance. I decided to hide it and pretend ignorance. But being drawn every night into Lindsay's dreams, this needed solving. Luckily, the holiday was starting. Realizing the hickeys were his doing, I no longer needed a doctor. Instead, I searched online for anyone with similar experiences. I found stories, some changed into others' dolls, some turned into cats, some into dogs, others became houseplants. Compared to that, my situation felt better. At least I was still human. Still, their stories gave me new perspectives. During the holiday, I visited a nearby temple, praying earnestly. I bought a fair amount of talismans online, but sadly, all of it was useless, night after night. I kept being pulled into Lindsay's dreams. Recently, I started figuring out a pattern. As long as Lindsay fell asleep, whether I was sleepy or not, I'd be dragged along. Once he woke up, the dream ended. Of course, he wasn't a night owl. I was forced to share his sleep schedule. His dreams remained strange. Maybe it was from multiple movie marathons I watched. His dreams grew richer. Sometimes he became an emperor, and I his uncle, the only empress. We'd known each other since childhood. Deeply devoted, we lived peaceful, happy lives. Other times, we were superior and subordinate. Reuniting in a secret office, he pinned me against the door and kissed me passionately. Then he was a doctor, and his robot created for eternal life together. He strove to extend his longevity, passing through all seasons with me. Sometimes the setting was an apocalypse. Cities crumbled, zombies roamed. Linz and Nazi held my hand tightly as we fled city edges. This was my first close contact with zombies. In his dream's intense realism, my legs gave out. He pushed me to a safe zone. People in the sanctuary took me in. He shielded me from approaching zombies with his body. Blood splattered. I screamed his name. My heart pounded like it would burst. I tried to rush forward but was held back by the residents. Lindsay heard me but didn't look back. His voice cut through the chaos. So also, live well, forget me. His image blurred. I wiped tears and realized I'd been crying. I sobbed hoarsely, forgetting I was dreaming. Waking to my familiar ceiling and wet pillow, I knew I'd been fooled into sobbing again. But the pain felt real. The sadness of losing Lindsay in dreams haunted my chest. Just thinking of it nearly brought tears again. I quickly distracted myself, wondered if he avoided looking because he worried I'd see him zombified and lose his handsome image. Definitely tear ducts in overdrive. Fortunately, the holiday ended quickly, meaning I'd see Lindsay back at school. We rarely interacted in class. After I toned down provocations, our contact was nearly none. Even bystander son Diane was surprised. Why so well behaved lately? Obviously, I just didn't know how to face him. I didn't explain, just nodded along. Except there was one thing. Entering someone else's dream was beyond shocking. If I hadn't experienced it personally, I won't believe it. Even if told, no one would believe me. Neither saw the other. Our real-world distance was wider than our rank difference. We'd become parallel lines outside, yet like dreams, we kept tangling like a ball of yarn. Due to school, Lindsay's dreams gradually normalized. We married and had a child in those dreams. Yes, in his dream, we had a lovely daughter named Lina. She resembled me. Compared to my extravagant holiday dreams, this was ordinary. Besides, Lina was smart, lively, never cried. Though mostly cared for by Linz and Fitzy, she'd run to me, calling me Mom. I quickly accepted becoming a family of 3. As the dream life settled, I relaxed my guard. I noted tough problems I hadn't solved by day. At night, entering his dream, I'd pretend to help with homework, pulling books out to ask for his help. In real life, directly asking him feels embarrassing. But in the dream, no shame. Still, Linz and Fitzy soon noticed. That night we sat in the study. Lin crawled on the floor. At 3 years old, wearing a soft princess dress, sweetly calling Mom Dad. Seeing us busy, she'd played Lego alone. Lin finished writing solutions. He put Lin down and gave me a dark look. Kenzo Haso is you. I was stunned but quickly grasped the meaning. He knew I was the real Kenzo Haso, since he stated it matter-of-factly. I didn't need to reply. We sat across silent. Finally, I spoke first. When did you realize? He returned to his usual impassive expression. If not for his knuckles white from gripping his pen too hard, I might believe he was truly calm. I found a notebook identical to yours. It had problems like these, and lately you've been strange in reality. So why are you here? Unexpected reason. I told everything, including when I started entering his dreams and how I found his secret weeble. Though I didn't know why I dreamed of all this, my words made his brows knit tighter. Has this dream affected your body? He paused, then quickly realized. Then those hickeys on you were all mine. I breathed easier. Listen, Hussey said. So you know everything, including my feelings. What's your answer? I was speechless, unable to answer. I chose silence. At that moment, I felt more embarrassed than him. Fortunately, at that second, Linsinus's alarm rang and we woke from the dream. Yet soon after we met again in the school hallway. He blocked me, pulling me into a corner. At first, I thought he'd continue questioning, but he calmly said, "Forget what I said in the dream. I know you won't like me, so let's just act normal. I'll figure out how to stop you entering my dreams." I was stunned. His words eased my worries, but oddly, I didn't feel happy. Lindsay Hussey did say it and meant it. No chats by day, and staying up at night to avoid dragging me into dreams again. Our days and nights reversed. His face grew visibly haggard. One time he probably couldn't bear it any longer. Falling asleep a bit at night, I was pulled into his dream again. Before the secret was out, Lindsay Nancy helped me with one arm and our child with the other. When she slept soundly, he'd sneak kisses for me. But after exposure, he only apologized, explaining he fell asleep by accident. He immediately set the alarm to wake himself and end the dream. I heard my own voice. What about Lin Mian Shao? Lin Xinhusi didn't answer. During our days living together in the dream, it was hard to see her as just a fictional character. Watching Lin Mian Shao play in the nursery, she seemed to realize something and begged us not to leave. Her small face flushed from crying. But when the alarm rang, she faded. This made me very low-spirited. I wanted to talk to Lin Xinhusi, but he avoided me. Only then did I understand it wasn't that he wanted me to avoid him, it was he avoiding me. That day after class, I found cat food in my bag. Too lazy to bring it home, I decided to stay and feed the cats. I met the same boy who made Lindsay Nancy jealous. Don't know if meeting him meant another tease. While feeding cats, a dark figure suddenly launched at me. I was sitting on the ground. No chance to dodge. Just as the shadow closed in, a figure appeared blocking him. The silhouette matched the protector in Lin Xinhusi's dream. A fierce-looking dog bit the attacker's arm. His owner hurried over, tugging the leash hard to pull the dog off Lin Xinhusi. He apologized, explaining he was walking the dog but it went crazy and ran off. He wanted to take Lin Xinhusi for rabies shots, but as soon as he touched Lin Xinhusi collapsed immediately. I recalled the zombie dream. Perhaps I worried for nothing. The owner urgently called for an ambulance, accompanying us to the hospital, handling everything. Luckily, the doctor said Lin Xinhusi fainted from exhaustion. After a rabies shot and IV infusion, Miss Lin finally woke during his unconsciousness. I thought hard. After he woke, I pushed everyone out. Then I asked why he suddenly appeared at that time. I'd never seen him at such times. His voice sounded cornered. I saw you leave with that boy, so I followed. I laughed, not expecting that. Then asked, why did you think I wouldn't be by your side? Lin Xinhusi was silent for a few seconds, then his voice darkened. You said so yourself. I frowned. Apparently, he recalled what I said. A year ago, I told Sundown I hated him and would never be with him. I remembered, but I said that in anger, having lost first place to him. Never thought he'd hold a grudge that long. But now wasn't the time to dwell. I had my answer. We could be together, but only after college entrance exams. The sound of hurried footsteps came behind. Lin Xinhusi flipped over, strongly pulling me into a hug. Are you dreaming? That was our first real embrace. Finally, I could focus on studies without worry. Our relationship no longer followed the yin-yang tension before. Sundown joked. You do look like you're sneaking around in love. I shook my head. We won't date until after exams. Her pupils trembled. Dabayo, what did I miss? I'll tell you later. After exams, Lindsay Nancy and I officially got together. I scored 1 point higher. Becoming a provincial valedictorian, studying day and night, even in his dreams, to surpass him. My rival was a hopeless romantic, oblivious to being overtaken. He was proud and happy for me. Now he was the valedictorian's boyfriend. Seeing him happy, I decided to let him enjoy that status for once. We both entered the same university. Yet I still enter Lindsay streams every night. We spent almost 23 hours together daily until graduation, introducing each other to parents, marrying and having children as Lin and Izzy always dreamed. This strange phenomenon finally ended. We no longer lost each other. Because Lin Shaw stepped out from dreams into our real life, our family of three was finally united. Epilogue Lin and Izzy's perspective. Because his parents' company moved to a new city, Lin and Izzy had to transfer schools. The new school's curriculum was too simple for him. After several days, he chose to self-study at home. He didn't expect to meet Kenso Haso, the one who took first place from him. He knew she regarded him as a rival. Before her, many tried and failed to surpass him. Only Kenso Haso persisted without giving up. She eagerly discussed plans to lead past him with friends. Loud debates, clear schemes, no secrecy. At first, Lin Xingzi found it annoying, so treated her coldly like others. But later, he developed an interest in her, wanting to observe her. Unexpectedly, that feeling turned into love over time. By the time he realized it, it was too late. Kenzo also saw him purely as a competitor. The bookworm could always divert sincere talks to academic battles. When Kenzo Haso was sick, he nervously asked about her health. She guarded herself, pretending to have endless energy to do more tests. He helped carry her books and materials, but she suspected he wanted to see her study notes. Unlike others who would accept help happily, Kenzo Haso looked at him as an opponent. Most importantly, Lin Xingzi overheard Kenzo Haso seriously telling friends she would never be with him. He didn't expect his first love to fail so quickly. He poured all his feelings into a newly created Weibo account, burying what he wanted to do with her in dreams. In reality, to avoid false hope, Lin Xingzi kept his distance even ruthlessly. In dreams, he could freely be with Kenzo Haso. Especially after watching some relaxing movies, his dreams became more varied. What comforted him most was that in dangerous dreams, Kenzo Haso was always safe, whether wounded or lost memory. It didn't matter, in dreams or reality, Lin Xingzi didn't want her hurt, nor did he want her to see him fading. Having a child with her in dreams was happiness enough. But unexpectedly, Kenzo Haso invaded his dream and saw all his thoughts. Fortunately, she accepted him in the end. The story ended with him getting her, whether in reality or in dreams.